put that on YouTube by chance?
I did, yeah, and I sent
Okay.
a little notice on the Resorter platform too about that, but maybe I need to send it again. So.
Well, and I think I seen it. She probably just didn't see it, but yeah, because she was mad. She wanted to watch that.
It was great. We had a blast. So, look, there's people. Woohoo! Cool. We should remind people about how to change their name. Oh, look at you, Clint Mueller, who now knows how to change his name on his video.
I knew how to do it all along, but I didn't do it that last meeting because it was just a board. So I thought they know who I am, but so I did it for this one though.
It's good practice though, so that we kind of associate, especially there's so many newbies, people I don't know personally. It's good to know their resort name. So yeah, maybe we should ask Linda and Karen to do the same, if they wouldn't mind adapting their name a little bit on their screens by just, you would right click on your name, or if you're on an iPad, Clint, I think there's 3 dots at the top of your screen.
Yep, in the top corner, top right corner.
Say change your name and just put like Linda dash whatever resort name or Karen dash resort name. Whatever. That way when people come on, they'll affiliate you with your resort and you'll get your name out a little bit more.
Nice outside. Oh man, is it nice.
Yeah. Do you have broken pipes, everybody, or is everybody safe?
No broken pipes here, but my dad's house froze up, so I got to go down to Mora and fix that this next week.
Oh, wow.
But I was okay here at the resort, but I put in some new doors and windows, so I was trimming them out here this morning. Just throw the saw on the front steps, and it was kind of nice and comfortable.
You know, John years ago started putting plastic up, just cheap, clear plastic, and stapled it around our walkout basement door. There's a little patio area there with overhung with a deck. And that plastic, I can't even tell. I mean, on a 37 below zero day when it was sunny, it was 70 degrees in there. It's amazing.
Makes a huge difference just to keep the wind off.
Yeah.
I got what, 1, 2, I got 3 more windows I got to cut in. So I ordered 2 more and they should be here in about a week, but I got one I got to practice on. We'll see how cold it gets when I got to cut open that hole in the wall. But Patty wanted more glass, so I'm putting in bigger windows. Plus they're easier to clean. They tip out, you know.
Oh, I see Karen's at Northern Lights Resort. That's the one up on Cabotogama, right, Karen?
We're the other one. We're on Dead Lake. We took over Vince and Sharon.
Oh, Dead Lake.
Oh,
you were
okay.
Clint, or not Clint. Sorry.
Jim and Kristen are across the lake.
Yep.
Yes, right. I'm having a blank, Clinty.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
Right? There we go. That one. Dead Lake. I've been to your resort. Before Vince and Cheryl owned it, there was another lady who owned it. And
Cheryl, yep.
Another Cheryl, right, yeah. And they had given away a week or a weekend in the off season to our best friends, won it. And so they invited us to come with. So we actually spent a week or a weekend at Dead Lake. So I got to kind of take a looky-loo at the resort. It's a nice lake and the cabin was just fine. And I'm sure I know there's been a lot of changes there, but I'm sure you're going to make some changes too, as you should. You need to claim it for yourself and put your stamp on it.
Vince and Cheryl did a lot with the interiors of the cabins, so those are great. And then we did a overhaul of paint and trim and stuff last spring before we opened. So big project, but it looks beautiful.
Yep.
You happy with it?
Yeah.
Yep. I bet your guests were very pleased also.
You would be surprised. A lot of that, just little stuff you walk out and look at every day, and people are like, I mean, you walk out and see it, and you see it every day, so it doesn't click in your mind. But when your guests pull up, that's the first thing they see. Just to clean some of that up, it's just huge.
Yeah, we made recycle stations. I'm big into recycling.
Yep.
That's important. We made recycle stations with 3 different holes and cans. That got more attention and kudos than the full overhaul of the cabin look, which I thought was kind of funny. We thought, oh, these little stations won't be a big deal. Huge.
Yeah.
So your mute was a little squirrely at the beginning. What got the most attention and got you kudos?
Recycle stations. I'm big into recycling, and everybody was just throwing it in the garbage. And I'm like, this is an easy thing that everybody knows how to do, but it's not convenient. So I made it convenient for them. So.
Yep.
I've talked about recycling in the past at Cracker Barrels, and it seems to me I'm very lucky. In Hubbard County, they do a fantastic job of recycling, and I've got a good relationship working with my guys. They actually come every week and dump our recycle bins, and they call me every once in a while, and because they know we're green, so they call me with new ideas and things of that nature. But I understand other counties like Becker County does not have a good recycling plan. So it's been a challenge for resorts in those kinds of areas to really get that recycle plan in place. So I don't know what county you're in, but you must have a decent one in your county.
We're Ottertail.
Ottertail.
Yeah, we have to take it into town. So we just made sure that we had the bins appropriate for the type. And then twice a week, we load up the truck and haul it into town. So
do you
So did
commingle?
you? Oh,
no,
so did you
we
put
can't, we
something
can't
by?
commingle.
Gotcha.
So did you put something by each cabin, or did you just put a centralized spot for him to?
We have 3 recycle stations. So one's by our game room, one's by the shower house, and one is up by the dumpster.
Yep. We kind of did the same thing. We can mix our glass and plastic, keep the aluminum separate, and then the cardboard case, of course, I just burn up. But that's what I did. I made nice little recycling things with little trap doors they can kick in and keeps the bees out. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 of them around the resort. And that people are pretty good about putting their stuff in.
Yeah.
I had to finally get some beekeeper thing or bee catchers, which you can hand make your own. But I just got these glass ones that you could use, and people don't know how to use them, but you could use like a 2-liter bottle, for instance, and cut a hole in the bottom and then fill it up with water, because most 2-liter bottles have sort of a catch in the bottom. So if you cut a hole in the middle, there'll still be enough space for water to be down there. You put a little bit of sugar water or soda. Usually I'll just take a cheap soda and put some soda in there, and you put the cap on. So how it works is they crawl in through the bottom, smelling the sweetness. They get up in there and they either drown or they try to fly up, and they can't get up because the cap's on. So they can't fly back out the way they came, and you catch tons of flies and bees with that. So we just set one of those right next to our recycle bin next to every single cabin, because of course, not fully rinsed soda pop cans attract a lot of bees, as you know. So people are so allergic. There are some people that are definitely allergic to bee stings. I think that's probably the most dangerous critter, I suspect, in our area. Maybe you've got a different idea about that, but it seems to me there's a lot of people that are allergic to bee stings. So we love the bees, but I want to try to keep it to a manageable level, I guess.
Didn't you see on the news, they got those new big killer bees that go around and kill the smaller bees? Maybe you just need to get one of them, Kim.
I'm not introducing another species into my ecosystem, as you well know.
They're already here, but not, I don't think they're this far north, but they got them down south there this year.
Really?
Yeah, they're trying to find the hives and kill them. So hopefully they're successful.
Wow, one more thing for me to worry about. Thanks, Clint.
Well, no, they're huge. I mean, they're like the size of robins. They're just massive. These bees are. They're huge.
Oh my God, Lord. Well, maybe we should, it's about 2:05. Clint, what do you think about maybe just going around, or 30 seconds, everybody introduce themselves and tell us what resort they're at, where they're located, how many cabins they have, or whatever you think.
Let's get her done.
Okay.
I'm Clint Mueller. I'm the president of CMR. Glad to be here today. Talk about whatever you want to talk about on the fix-it side, whether it's air conditioning, heating, plumbing, whatever you want to talk about. I have a swimming pool. I can talk about the swimming pool. We can talk about construction. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Anyway, we're at Balsam Beach Resort. We're just south of Bemidji, about 5 miles. We have 8 cabins, 30 campsites. And we've been in the business since 95.
You want me to go next, and then maybe we'll go to Dick and Linda and then Karen. So I'm Kim Bowen at Crow Wing Crest Lodge. I've got 19 cabins and 4 campsites. We're on 11th Crow Wing Lake in Akeley, next to Walker. And this will be our 21st season. So I'm still doing the School of, as you probably saw from emails and things, I'm still kind of heading up the School of Resorting classes, which I'm pretty much finished up with right now. Our last one's going to be the demonstration for Banter Reservation Software System on Tuesday. So I'm always looking for more ideas. If you got some more ideas for classes or other topics, please email them to me. I will put it in the chat over here, my email, in case you've got some more ideas and things of that nature. So great. Well, let's move on to Dick and Linda and then Karen, maybe.
Hey there. As you know, Dick and Linda, we're at Shady Creek Resort, Northwest Douglas County. So we're probably quite a bit south of most of you. We're on a couple little lakes, Moses and Aaron. They're situated like kidneys, and we're kind of right in between on a little creek that connects the two. So it's an idyllic spot as far as we're concerned, just live because of the sunrise on one lake, sunset on the other. How much better can you be than that? But we've got 7 cabins. We've been at it for 45 years. And when we moved up here, we bought the resort, and I had gotten my master plumbing license. So I started a business, and we've been going at it, where the hard part is to try to figure out how do you get out of this mess. That's about where we're at.
You mean resorting, Dick? You're trying to.
I got 3 daughters that want the resort, but how do you make the transition so that everybody's happy? And so we've adopted a new method of financial planning. It's called the Ostrich Method. You stick your head in the sand and think maybe it'll go away.
You know what you got to tell them? Highest bidder.
Okay.
Then you'd be murdered by the other 2.
Sounds like a plan.
Oh, thank you.
That's it. Go ahead.
We wish you luck with that.
Thanks.
We can feel your pain, though. No. Well, Karen, would you like to go next, and then maybe Teresa? Sorry, Clint. I'm sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
I'm used to doing it. I'm so sorry.
Yep, you're doing a good job.
I'm Karen. My husband is Mark. He's up building some cabinets for a mudroom right now. We just bought Northern Lights Resort on Dead Lake, Otter Tail County last January. So got through our first year, and we're into the 13th month. Things went great. We have 10 we're open year round. We have 10 cabins, 8 recreational campsites, and 11 seasonal sites. So 29 total rental unit things of some sort, and then lots of pontoon and boat rentals. So great first year. We got into it with a pandemic, and ultimately it finished out to be a good year. And we have a lot of repeat customers, so we're 100% rebooked for most of June, all of July, and August next year. So we inherited a wonderful business from great previous owners.
Wow. Yay. Fantastic. Well, Teresa, would you like to go next? And then we'll go to Shelley at Royal Star. Oops, you got it. There you go.
There we go. Got it. We are Gary and Teresa Blakely. This is the start of our 2nd season as well at Birch Harbor in Park Rapids. And like Karen said, we inherited a great clientele of repeat guests. So just still learning.
We are too. Wonderful. Shelley, would you like to go next? And then we'll go to Lynn at Black Pine.
I'm Shelley from Royal Star Resort in Nevis. We're in 6th Crow Wing Lake, and I have 13 cabins here, and this will be our 5th summer.
Yay. Lynn, would you like to go next? And then maybe Bonnie?
Sure. Lynn, Sharon Brock, I'm by myself because I just sent Bob up to Lake of the Woods to fill our freezer up with some walleye, so he's got a job to do. So we have to send him away and go hunt and gather. That's his job. So we are going into our 44th season this year. We have 14 cabins on the Whitefish Chain of Lakes between Pequot Lakes and Cross Lake. It is, just like you said, Karen, a really, really busy season. I have nothing open Memorial weekend through Labor Day weekend except for a couple of nights and that first week of June and a couple nights that last week of August that flips into September. And I am very curious about what people think the reason for that demand is. It's a bigger demand than we've seen ever in 44 years. Not that we're sad about that. I mean, it's wonderful. It's just, do we think it's a blip or do we think it's a trend? Our thought here is that it's probably related to confidence from the traveling public that they're in an individual cabin in the wild, as they say. So I don't know that we think of ourselves as in the wild, but they do. So that's good. It's not a hotel. I know hotel people are having a hard time. A lot of them are. I don't know. I'm curious about that. But another thing I wanted to mention to everyone, since we're kind of talking about things to fix and things to do, for quite some time, I've been trying to get Dan Borseth, who is an associate member with the CMR. His, can I say their name even? I don't know. Pine Insurance, can I say that? That's Pine Insurance. He's an associate member. And I had asked him to give me a list from his underwriters of things that you could do at your resort that would be more likely to reap you some dollars than something else. So like I have X number of dollars in my budget for repairs, replacements, something new. What is the best thing to do that would either give me a discounted rate on my premium or would make it less likely that I would be ruled against in a claim? Finally, I got that list about, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago from him. So I'm going to try to write an article, Kim, about that. I'll try to kind of put it together. But if anybody's interested in seeing it, you can see it. I can send it to anybody who would like to see it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
It's very interesting. It is very interesting to see it. And this was from someone not from Dan, from someone at the company.
Mhm.
So a good resource, I thought, anyway.
Yeah, thank you, Lynn. Yeah, I look forward to your article. She's such a fantastic writer.
Oh, no, stop.
She is, true. I can't wait. Maybe we'll talk about that today. Who knows?
Yeah.
Bonnie, would you like to go next? And then we'll go to Julie.
Hi, this is Bonnie from Pinecone Lodge, 13th year near Park Rapids. We had a great year. We're full for the summer, and we had the best January we have ever had. It was just amazing. We doubled our usual revenue in January. So we're really happy about that and appreciate this. I will be driving, so I will just be listening. So I'm going to get on the road right now. Okie doke.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you.
You. Who do we have left? Julie and then Wilds Resort.
Julie and Wilds Resort. Yep.
Kelly and Dan. Okay. Julie, you want to go next?
Sure. I'm in the process of buying Kim's Camp on Dead Lake from my cousin, along with my brother and son. We've been working on it for a while, and there always seems to be some little issue that comes up. So we haven't officially taken over yet. We're hoping that will be soon. So this will be our first season, but it's my family for 76 years. My dad and his parents bought the resort in 1944 when there were 3 cabins and a log cabin, and now there are 12 cabins. So we're just starting. So, I probably have a lot more questions and no answers. So,
Julie, you said, is it Clint's Camp?
Kim's.
Kim's Camp.
Is that up near the Itasca State Park area?
It's maybe an hour from there. It's on Dead Lake, near Ottertail Lake.
Oh, okay. You're on the same lake as
Tarrant. Yep.
Across the lake. Yep.
Got it. Got it. I know where you're at now. Cool. Well, last but not least, Kelly and Dan, would you like to introduce yourselves upside down?
Upside down.
There you go.
No, you're still.
Upside down. That's cute.
I'm sorry. I don't mess it up.
There you go.
I'm Kelly from the Wild Resort, and we've done 2 seasons now out here. We're pretty new at it yet, and looking forward to our 3rd summer. We just did a construction project, and our kids, if you can see them in the background, they're going down the hill sledding in their swimsuits as we speak.
Oh my gosh.
Summer.
That's a great Instagram post right there, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Be sure it'll be on there.
How many cabins do you guys have again? I forget.
6 cabins, and then we'll have 30 seasonal sites and 15 overnights, roughly.
Got it. Cool. That's welcome. Welcome to chat. This is great. This is a nice, I like the smaller groups. personally because you can get more intimate and you can get a lot more information, I think, sometimes. So Clint, what do you want to?
Yes, ma'am.
What should we start talking about?
Whatever anybody wants to talk about. I'm easy. I know this year we are on the plumbing side. We had a couple cabins where the toilets sweated really bad. And we actually did, I have line tanks on all my cabins so they don't sweat, but I still had a couple that sweated really bad. So I've been replacing them with pressure assist tanks, and that takes care of the sweat problem. But they're about $350 a piece, but they don't plug and the tanks don't sweat. So I don't know if anybody has any issues with sweaty tanks in your cabins. Makes your floor all wet and everybody thinks the toilet's leaking. It's really not. It's just the tank is sweating really bad. Or they think the shower's leaking around the edge, but it's not. It's usually just a sweaty toilet. But by putting in those pressure assist toilets, which they actually have a plastic tank inside the back tank, so it builds up pressure from your water system, and then when it flushes, it just sends a lot of water at once, and you don't have that cooling of the tank itself, which makes condensate if you have heat and humidity in your cabin.
So
but
how much are those per unit? And where
they are? I've been purchasing all American Standard. I go to Menards and I usually get them when it's 11% off, and they'll run you about $350 for the toilet, for the top and the bottom. You have to order them together. And I have, Kim, have you ever been in the one in my lodge? When you flush it, it sounds like a jet engine.
I have been in your lodge and I don't remember that. Yeah.
Well, the first one I put in was in my lodge because people would come in and plug it all the time. So I put in this pressure assist one. Well, that's a Kohler, I believe, and it takes 1.3 gallons per flush. But when you flush it, it sounds like a jet's taking off and it scares everybody. So I went to American Standard and went to a quieter model that takes 1.4 or 1.5 gallons per flush. And those, it's a lot. I don't want people waking each other up in their cabins when they flush the toilet with all that noise. But I've never had any of them plugged, and it took care of my sweaty tank problem in my cabins, on my floors, and my bathrooms.
Interesting.
But they are expensive. And I just put them in my shower house last summer, so I had to winterize them this winter. So we'll see if I did that right, or if it's going to be expensive this spring.
You know, we started to, when we need to replace a toilet, we'll just go to Home Depot or Menards and get an insulated tank set. And it's just a more expensive toilet. They're usually around $200 or so. So not $350. And that seems to really do well enough. But I can totally feel the pain of people walking down and saying, hey, my toilet's plugged. Can you help me? Even though we give them nice plungers. We not the little weenie ones, but the ones with the lip and the whole thing, plunge your own damn toilet, people. That's sort of the encouragement there. And we still have one or two people that wander down and have trouble. So that is an annoyance. I'll have to think about that. It's a good idea.
Well, they're expensive.
Oh,
but,
sorry.
They're expensive, but I haven't had one plug yet. And like I said, the two spots, they sweated so bad. Even with the air conditioners running in the cabins, they just sweated so bad. It was like, nope, just let's try this. And it took care of my problem. So I'm happier than heck.
Clint, did you try, I don't know, Bob's tried it before and it's worked in some cabins and not others, but I'm just curious. So temperature on your toilets, did that not work for you?
You can do that. And that could be a cheaper route for you, but yeah. I would have had the gun underneath the cabin and cut it in the line, because what that does is that just combines your hot and cold water.
Yep.
It kind of depends where your hot water is and how far it's got to travel to the bathroom. I don't want to go down and lay underneath the cabin and cut lines. I just put the toilet in and let it take cold water. So that's just where I'm at. But I do have that in my house, in my bathroom, and that works good too.
I've heard about that, trying to plumb upside down on your back. It's a little more difficult, right? I hear that at supper sometimes.
It isn't bad till that hot I have a lot of copper pipes, so when I sweat them, you get some of that stuff dripping.
Yes.
That's a little warm, but other than that,
yes.
That's why I have no hair.
Hey, Clint, where did you say you got those toilets from?
You can actually go, Menards carries them. You have to special order them, or Home Depot will have them. I mean, you can go to any major store like that, Lowe's. I'm sure all of them have them, but you have to special order them. They don't stock them or carry them on hand. You have to special order. And they have Kohler makes them, American Standard makes them. There's a number of different manufacturers that carry them, but you just have to find one in your price range and something that you work. And, you know, like I said, I bought the first one. It was really loud. I didn't like that. So I went down to American Standard to a Cadet is what it's called. And that's been working really good for us. So I've been buying mostly them. But we got any other plumbing questions or problems? How about on the hot water heaters? Does anybody ever get that rotten egg smell in your hot water heaters?
Yes. Awesome.
That is an anode rod in your
Yeah.
hot water heater that does that.
So we've actually removed all of our anodes
Yep.
and
Yeah.
still have an issue in 2 of them if the cabin sits vacant for more than a couple of weeks. So our solution has been to shock it, not with bleach, because, you know, we're non-toxic here, but we use hydrogen peroxide to zap it and shock it, and that takes care of it.
Yeah, I do that with all my hot water heaters. When I put a new one in, that's the first thing I do. I take out that anode rod, cut it off, put the cap back in. Otherwise, within 3 months, mine would start to smell like that. And but now we also have soft water. All our water throughout the whole resort is soft, and by doing that, took care of a lot of the water smell and the rust and the hard water stains and all that is pretty much gone. But
You went with a new, like, was it Kinetico system, water softening system? Is that right?
yes, yep, we
So
actually
did
read
we.
one.
So we
Pardon
hate
me?
ours. Absolutely hate it. So
Do you really?
it kind of, I think we had a lemon when it first got installed back in 2003, and it has just been a pain in the ass ever since. So we are in the process of hiring somebody local to come in and put in a whole new commercial system. You know, we're talking $6-7 grand. So
Yeah.
commercial systems are not cheap. So not happy about it, but we haven't had anything actually working for 2 years, and Kinetico won't step up and fix their equipment. So I'm done.
Really?
We struggled and struggled, and I'm done.
What happened,
Who's-
Kim?
Yeah.
There's so much to this saga. Suffice it to say that after so many calls of them coming out to try to investigate and not fixing it properly, you know, it just would get clogged. And obviously, it wouldn't be getting used because the salt level wouldn't go down. So clearly, it's not being used when the salt level is not going down. So that's the only way that we can really tell. But every time we'd hire, and you know, it's not cheap to have somebody just to come out and check it out, and they'll try to clean something, and you know, it might be effective for a couple of days, and then it will clog back up again. So yeah, tired of having that rust in our, you know, that line of, because it stinks, you know, and it, you know, it's a pain in the butt. So
Ours, we have Connecticut also, and ours in the main part of the summer, Clint, maybe you can chime in on that too. We have to change our filter no more than every 2 weeks. It's covered in rust. And you always know because the water pressure starts to go down a little bit, at least in some cabin. And that's always what it is. But once that gets changed out, we've just put it on a regular change outs, you know, kind of like every 2 weeks. Even if no water pressure goes down, we switch it anyway. And we have had not one issue since that. Not any.
Right.
Maybe we just recently put it in though. It's only like 5 years old.
Okay. Because I know when we first put our commercial unit in, we had so much iron in our water, it would plug up the softener and it wouldn't work. So my Connecticut guy said, I won't even fix it until you put on a pre-filter. So I put on 2 of those just fabric spun wound down to 10 micron filters.
Yeah.
And then what would happen is they would plug up so quick, I would lose water pressure. So I went
Yep.
to a 3-filter system, and that would actually allow enough water to go through to where I wouldn't lose water pressure. So now on mine, I have to replace mine every week. I do mine every
Really?
week in the summer. Yes.
Wow.
Yep. Otherwise, I start to lose water pressure. Yep.
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. We go through probably a bag of salt a day on the one system that feeds all the cabins. And then I have 2 wells. So on the other system, we probably go through probably about 2 bags a week for the camper side.
Yeah.
But,
It's a lot of salt.
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I have so many people come in that comment how good our water is and how soft it is, and they just love it. And I've had nothing bad to say about Connecticut. They've been really good. But like I said, we bought a used system for the first one, and then I just put in a new one last year, and that was a new system we put in. So now I got them on both wells, because prior to that I bought one online and had it on our camper well, and that one did not work very well. it would be really good for about 3 weeks, and then it would fade off, and the water just wasn't soft. So now I got Connecticut on both. I'm really happy with them.
Well, that's good. We are not going with them. They've come out many times and hadn't fixed it, so done.
They are expensive though, but
Yeah.
there's no power to run them. It just runs off the gallons going through it. And I don't know. I think they're really good. But that's just me.
Yeah.
They'll give you 4 free drink glasses, Kimmer, if you get them. Just saying.
I don't need more shit in my house, Lynn. I'm trying to minimize.
Worth it.
Well, what are some burning questions that you newbies maybe might have that you struggled with last summer, that, just were a chronic, just a big pain in the butt? Screens, fixing screens, or catching pests, or mice, or
Can we stay in the water heater for a minute? How do you shock your water heaters? Is it a simple process or does it take a while?
no, you just take off the top cap, or I actually don't do it, Shelly. The boys do it, but there must be an opening in the top, because how else do you pour water in it? Clint might even be able to access that.
No.
But
I usually, what I do is I'll turn the water off to the cabin or the house or whatever I'm doing. And then I have a separate bucket with a pump, and I will put bleach water in my bucket and my pump. I got a pump just for when I winterize with antifreeze and stuff. So I use the same one. I just rinse it out and put bleach in. But anyway, I'll pump that in. I'll pump that actually into the hot water heater, into that line, until I got bleach at all my outlets. I leave it sit for about 20, 30 minutes and then just flush the system. And that's usually how I shock mine.
so for our boys, we don't have a sophisticated pump like Clint does. They just dump in about a cup of the hydrogen. We have a 35% grade hydrogen peroxide, and just dump it in, and we let it sit usually overnight, and then they just drain it like you would normally at the end of season, and then fill it back up again. Simple as that. And that seems to work. That doses it for a while. We started actually shocking the well. We hadn't really shocked it too much, but last year we started shocking that well because the softener system wasn't working. And last year that helped a lot. Just a simple shock at the beginning of the season helped keep, some of that. At least there was no scent, no odor, which was the worst thing for me. Well, that probably is not the worst thing. I don't like dealing with all the rust stains on the acrylic flowers.
Yeah.
In the butt. And I hate buying that Wink. I just hate it. But that's about the only thing that freaking works. That's the only thing non-toxic that's toxic that we have as a product. Because I can't find anything natural that will work except for elbow grease and magic erasers. And all my staff bitch and whine about how much their muscles were getting worked up, but they were pissed about doing it all the time. So anyway.
See, we actually, every spring we start up, once our college kids leave, everybody gets out. Then I sanitize the well and do everything really good. And then in the fall, prior to the college kids coming in, I do it again. I just lift off the cover to the well and dump the bleach right down the well. Stick the hose in, and I just let it circulate till everything stinks. Then you leave it sit overnight and flush it the next day. See, when we have 2 wells, I can do it when both wells are running. Then I just feed everything off one well or feed it off the other well. So.
But theoretically, Minnesota, by the rules and regulations of Minnesota Department of, is it pollution control? You're supposed to shock your well if it hasn't been used for a while, right? I mean, I don't know what the rules and regulations are. Lynn might have a little bit more clarity on that, but if it's been unused for several months, you need to shock it properly. So
that was a recent ruling. And if you shut your whole system down, that's the story. If you don't shut your whole system down, it doesn't apply. So there were some little tricky mouse holes you could go through so that you didn't have to shut your whole system down or say you were, and then you didn't have to do all that. But if you end up with a wrong, I don't want to say wrong read, if you end up with a read when the Department of Health comes that it doesn't fit their criteria, you're going to have to do it anyway, shock it anyway. So if nobody has another question, I'd like to talk about rot on walkways. And the reason I want to talk about that is because we seem to be having a lot of issues with that recently. We hadn't had, always there's a little, but nothing to the degree that we recently have been having. And these are treated boards. We're going to have quite a bit of repair to do this coming spring on outdoor walkways, like decking walkways, that kind I'm talking about, not full pieces of board or anything, but just like the decking, like on a deck. So individual boards on stringers. My question is, has anybody else experienced that? And is it an option, and maybe a good option, to replace those stringers with that, what do they call it, by the yard, that plastic kind of wood thing, where you don't at least have to worry about your base rotting? And I realize that when a board touches moist ground, it's going to eventually rot away, but replacing a decking board is a whole lot easier than replacing the whole structure. So anybody got a word about that from experience at all?
Lynn, just to clarify, you're talking about rotting from the bottom side.
Yeah, the ones that go in the ground, the walkways. We have a lot of walkways around our, yeah, and they are actually in ground. So it's kind of like a sidewalk would be, you know, it's not, some are a bit raised because of just the topography, but primarily they're in ground like a sidewalk would be. And so they are touching earth every minute. We're pondering about that by the yard wood. And the reason we're only thinking of it for the below the decking part of the walkway is because we have heard from so many people who have used it that it gets really hot. So I don't want that on little bare feet.
So you're talking about, so you're suggesting the possibility of the recycled plastic composite stuff.
Right, for the, yes, for the base of the walkway. So if you imagine making a dock section, it's exactly the same plan, where you've got the stringers below and the decking above. So I just wondered if anybody has had experience using that kind of by the yard, that's what that is. It's fake wood made out of recycled plastic for that purpose. Does it twist? Is it long lasting? I mean, they say it, but I don't know.
I have two comments, and then I'm curious to see what other people have to say. My one comment is on the top. Some of our decks, you know, on the tops get slimy, and
yeah,
we'll pressure wash them.
Pressure wash that, but that's slimy, not rot.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
And my other comment is about our stay in Hawaii every year, which we're not going this year, but our cottage we rent every year has got a composite gray colored plastic composite decking, and it's in the sun all the day. And I have to say, it is super freaking hot.
Yeah.
Bare feet.
Yeah.
There's no lie of that. In fact, his decking that he put there even has a little bit of circulation underneath. You know, there's maybe a couple of inches. So
yeah,
ventilation, it is still super hot. At least the color was sort of a charcoal gray. Maybe a lighter color that might provide a better solution. I'm curious to see if anyone.
But I've heard that about the composite furniture too, like the chairs and stuff. We've not used them because of that worry. But I'm just curious about the ones touching the dirt. Nobody any.
Okay. Anybody have experience with that? Anybody at your resort have composite plastic decking, walkways, furniture?
I will report on that in fall.
I actually thought about using it, but what I've noticed with it too is it's not as durable as wood. It's got more give and sag to it. So yeah, you have to be careful that, you know, you don't have it spaced too wide or whatever, because it will sag, or it's not as tough or rigid as what wood is, what I've noticed.
Even when it's on end like that to be a stringer.
Well, but now they only make it in 1 inch stuff. I don't know if I've ever seen it in wider than 1 inch stuff.
What have you seen, Kim, in Hawaii?
The decking boards are about the same width and depth of any typical decking boards.
Right, 1 inch, yep.
And I think my landlord at the time, he's very much sort of a recycler, and he likes using all the organic things as much as possible. And he wanted to use that material because he craved using recycled materials.
Yeah.
They weren't going into the landfill. And it's holding up. There's a few bleached areas every once in a while, but it looks fine. It's definitely worn. So this is, of course, Hawaiian sun, which it's freaking hot there next to the ocean. So 80 degrees of blasting sun in an area that's pretty dry all the time. But it's lasted the 12 years that we've been going. And again, it's just hot on the feet, but it's been up.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see what happens. Clint, do you think you could put two together?
You
can make
you can do
like a
whatever you
2x4?
want. Yeah, you can do whatever you want, but then the cost's going to go up because that's stuff.
We only have certain areas that are a real problem, and so maybe just for those areas. I will watch that and let you know what we learn over this year.
Well, and if you're gonna stand on an end and it's gonna be in the dirt, you might be okay with one, but you're gonna have a narrower screwing strip is all. I had
Right,
one-
yeah.
I had one of my seasonal guys made his whole deck out of 5/4, made his stringers and everything out of 5/4, and I just shook my head, but it stands up and it works.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
What do they
I
say?
do
You
have a
can't
co-
argue
I
with
do have a comment
success.
on the decking boards if you still.
What's
I
that,
don't-
Dan?
I said I do have a comment on those decking boards, the composite. I don't
Yeah.
think you want to use as underneath your actual decking boards because they're not really made for any structural components because there's too much flex in them.
Oh, just what you were saying, Clint. Okay.
Yeah, because when they get warm, they actually wave and flex a lot. So
Okay.
just like when they do a composite deck, they'll just do the composite decking on the top and they'll still use treated runners.
Oh, okay.
So I would stick with treated or marine grade if need be, but that gets expensive.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm wondering if people have any screen door solutions, particularly the sliding glass doors. We've been replacing a couple of our sliding glass doors. We have some big 8-footers, and it seems like the screens that come with the doors are one big freaking screen, which don't last more than a week, and a kid will go through. So we've tried, we've done some plexiglass, clear plexiglass, and kind of screwed it on, but I don't know. It's hard because there's like little tufts of grass and seeds will get tucked down in between the screen and the plexi. It's a pain in the ass to clean. So I don't know how everybody else has been handling or how your screen doors and screen windows have been holding up with your guests, or if you found a secret or some kind of little quirky thing that seems to be working for you. I'd love to hear your ideas.
Kim, we do on ours, we have patio doors in all our cabins. And what I've done is you get those screen protectors, you can go to Menards and order them. And I'll screw them right to that screen. For one, they see it so they don't run through it. And then it stiffens up that aluminum thing a little bit. And they come off the tracks, but nobody's wrecking no doors. And the screens tend to last longer.
You mean, so describe your screen protector. Is that like?
Okay, so yeah, it's basically, they make it extra wide and you got to cut it down to size. And it's probably, what is it? Oh, I want to say it's probably about 2 feet, maybe 30 inches tall. And it's got aluminum. They come in different colors, white, brown, and black, maybe aluminum. But so it's got the outside square, and then it's got like a screen, a thicker screen like in the middle, so it's visible. And then you just screw the 4 tabs. I just use self-tappers, and I just screw them onto my screen doors in those 4 corners where you're supposed to screw it on. And that stiffens up your door. Plus, then the people see it, and the kids don't run through it and wreck the screens or wreck the doors. We've been doing those for years because when we first put them on, yeah, the kids would run right through, and the parents would laugh. Oh, they ran through, and oh, sorry about your door. Well, that's $100, So I put those all on, and since that happened, it's been good.
Could you possibly take a picture of one of your sample doors and either text it to me or share it on the discussion platform?
Oh, sure.
Because are you leaving the whole, so the screen doors that come with the sliding glass doors are just one sheet of screen. Right. Yep. Are you leaving that whole sheet and you're just doubling up the layer?
Nope. When this piece comes, it's like probably, I want to say 24 to 30 inches tall, and it's 36, 38 inches wide. And you just put that right on the door. So there's bare screen on the bottom, and you can see out at bare screen on the top. You just put it right in the middle by the handle, and it helps stiffen up the door, and it just protects the screen is what it does.
No trouble cleaning.
No, it's the air goes right through it. You can actually look through it, but it hinders your view a little bit, but for saving the screens, it works really good. And I put them on all like on my smaller doors that go in and out. We have self-closing screen doors on them too. I'll fix screens on those constantly. So I put them over them too if I have to. So you can still open and close the door, but that screen protector's there so the kids aren't putting their hands through, because that's what they'll do.
We have a lot of just storm doors only on some of our cabins. There's no other door. It's just a storm door. And boy, some of those do not last very long. Are there certain brands that people like?
We just replaced all of our doors, our exterior doors. This year we finished up that project. We did part of them last year, part of them this year with full light doors. So it's a full light interior door and a full light exterior door, which you would normally have be your screen door. It isn't. It's a full light glass too. We did that once we had air conditioning in all the cabins. We decided, why in the world do we have that screen door there? Because they just leave it open, you know. Even when the heat's on, they leave it open. There's no sense to it. And the cabins are crazy bright, and you feel like you're outside when you're inside now. Some of them were two doors, like a front and a back door. We replaced all four of them. Every door now at the whole resort has the interior door. So the pretty door inside the cabin is full light, and the exterior door is full light. So it's two full light doors, one in front of the other. They can see the whole wide world. And even if they leave the door that's inside the cabin open, no air is going in or out of that door. Saved us quite a bit of money on our utilities.
Huh.
I don't know how long it'll take to cover the cost of the doors, but the people love them, love them.
About
It was, we put a whole, we did have to buy new shades, Kim, because it was such a long door. But yeah, otherwise it was a great investment. Everybody just loved it.
so ballpark pricing range for those, a set of doors like that.
Oh my gosh. Bob did all of that ordering. I don't know. I can let you, I can dig it up and let you know. He got, so it's all together. He got the doors and he got the lock, the handles and the locks and all that stuff just in one big, I'll try to tease it out for you though and let you know. But they're just beautiful, just beautiful. People like to see the inside feel like the outside. They like that. They always tell me that. Oh, it's so bright. But the screens, Clint is absolutely right. Those screens are just a nemesis, aren't they? They're awful. People bust through them all the time. And you're right. 1 week is all you get. And they'd be flapping in the wind. We just were sick of it.
So you're selecting these doors because what? They're sturdier.
Oh, they're very sturdy. I mean, they could stand up to a big old blizzard if they needed to. So yeah, and we don't worry about that heat going out when they're running heat or air conditioning going out when they're running the air. And the good part, the extra good part was that people loved that look too.
I'd be curious to see a picture of one of those.
Sure, I can send it to you. Yep.
Or maybe
We just bought them locally at our local lumber yard. They're not, unique. So,
great.
yeah, I'll send you one. Yep.
That'd be great. Or share it on the discussion platform.
Yeah, I could do that too.
Kim, you can pretty much order them doors from Menards, Home Depot, whatever. And those.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
Those full glass doors are going to probably run you $400, give or take, I would say. And then on the screen doors, to get a full glass screen door, you can get them there too. They actually, I think, carry them. They stock them. But those will probably run you about $300 for a screen. So you're probably looking at $700-800 for a door and screen, or in the full glass door.
Yeah, I got to really think about that. I got to weigh that too with what. Yeah.
Check your utility costs and see. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why we have AC in all our cabins too, and it just irks you when you walk by and
I know
the windows are open, the front door's open, the screens are open, and the AC's just a humming, and it's like, you just bite your tongue.
Yeah. Same in the fall and spring when they have the heat on and the fireplace going. Yeah. Anyway.
On my college kids, on our lease to the college kids, we have a statement on there that we reserve the right to charge for propane in the winter. So if I see their door open or I just go in there and tell them, see that clause right there? I'm going to start charging you. Well, then they shut them down and it's a better, but.
Yeah.
The ex-owner of my resort had a way to deal with that. That was his number one pet peeve, walking by a cabin and seeing both the electricity of the air conditioner going, and he could see some fire coming out of the fire. Just pissed him off to no end. So finally, he decided to resolve it for himself by raising the rates the next year an extra 2%. And he decided to just chalk that up for all the stupidity that goes on and not to worry about it anymore. And for him, that helped him get at peace with the potato head guest that happens inevitably. So thought that was kind of funny. Okay,
Whatever works.
whatever works.
So talking about air conditioning, does everybody have air conditioning in their cabins? No, are you thinking about putting it in? Tell you what, we didn't used to have it, and that one summer it was super hot, and we had people come up. We're here 2 days, walked up to the lodge and said, "We're out of here. We're going uptown to a hotel because they have air conditioning," and we lost 3-4 cabins. So we actually put them in, and we did those. You buy those steel square sleeves. You put a hole in your wall and you put the sleeve in, and then you buy the units that slide in them so you can take them out. And that's what we have in all our cabins, but 2 of them that have central air in them. And those work really well. If anybody's thinking about putting it in, we did that, I want to say 20 years ago, and then units have run, knock on wood, flawless for 20 years. I've never had to do nothing with them. But I'm worried about how much energy they're using because they're so old. So in the last probably 4 years, I replace 2 every year. I just go to Menards, order Comfort Air, some 12,000 BTUers, and they fit right in those sleeves I have in the walls. And I just take the old ones out and slide the new ones in and seal them up. And they got remotes with them, and everybody's happy.
Where do you get sleeves? Do they just come a certain size? You just order them from Menards or Home?
Yes, yeah, you can get them from anybody's pretty much got them, as far as either a heating or AC guy or Menards. You can get them through, and it's just a standard square size. I forget how big they are, and you cut a hole in the wall, you put them in, you trim them out, you put your siding around them outside, and the box sits in there all the time. And then the AC unit, you can just slide it right out and work on it, or you push it in and it just sits in. It's got a nice cover to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look in that because invariably every summer there's at least 1 or 2 issues where the air conditioner has dripped on the inside of the wall and soaked carpet down below.
Oh, yep.
A few years ago, we had it was time to do some changing, and we knew we wanted to get the air conditioning, but we also had wall LP units for years, and they're relatively inefficient. So we bit the bullet and went with heat pumps with split system heat pumps. So even though I'm in the business and the manufacturer doesn't recommend it, I split the system between 2 cabins. So I bought a unit, and I put one unit in one cabin, 1 unit in the other cabin, and ran the tubing underground, and it works just fine. So I saved some money on the main unit. So for 7 cabins, I wound up with 4 units, and that's good. I benefited in having super high efficiency heat and cool, and
they're quiet because they're outside.
The units are outside, and if you're familiar with split systems, they're very quiet inside. Little bit of maintenance on, you got to be careful to keep the fan clean inside on the scroll fan. Not the easiest to clean with all the cooking grease and whatnot that happens in cabins. That was a maintenance item that has to be taken care of every couple of years, but it worked out. And now this year we did an outdoor griddle, which should take care of a lot of the grease that's inside, because they really like to use that for the bacon and all those things that put so much grease in our cabin.
So what brand was that you put in?
The heat pump?
Yeah.
Mitsubishi, but any of those, they're all whatever what you need to do is, I buy from a whole house anyway, so I bought the brand that they've got, and I've gotten out of the air conditioning service work, the refrigeration, so I just hire a guy to do the service work on that end of it. For the installation, I ran everything and then had them come out and charge it, do that work.
Yep.
So we have LG. Dick, I'm interested in your thoughts about this. We have LG units in all of our cabins. It's generally a good brand. It's served us well for a long time, but starting about 3 or 4 years ago, all the units, we've got 2 styles, whether they were either style, didn't matter, started filling up with mold. And when I say filling up with mold, I am not kidding you. Black and white mold that was billowing out like clouds from the units. We clean them, we take them apart every year and clean them before we shut down. So it's not like they were not being cleaned. We don't know what caused that. And they seem to tell us they don't either. But the interesting part of the story is even though we're being told they don't know what that is all about, they have a team in place that they've had in place since we had this happen. And their only job, that team's only job, is to go around to various installations of LG units and do mold mitigation and removal. So clearly they know about it.
Yeah.
So we've had to have that team come out every year now to do that because we are unable as just the owners of the unit to get back behind all of these panels that say do not touch, danger, you know. They have to do it. It's $4,000 a season to get that all cleaned up by the mold mitigation team. And we're curious about why that is happening all of a sudden, wondering if that is an LG issue. It doesn't feel like it's our issue because we've been very meticulous about how we've cleaned them all these years. Do you have anything to like any light to shed on that? I'm just puzzled by that.
Yeah, it's just inherent with the dust. It's that scroll fan inside is a small, about a 3-inch fan. It's about 18 inches, 2 feet long, depending on the size of your unit. And that fan will have humidity on it, and so it collects dust and grease and all the other things. And because it moves so much air, a lot of dust passes it, so that builds up on it. And I'm glad to hear that it costs, well, I shouldn't say that way, but I save myself a lot of money if I'm not spending $4,000 on a service person because I disassemble them. If you pay attention, you can remove the screws and figure out how to pull that fan out, take it to your local car wash. I tried cleaning them at home here, but that stuff is stuck on. And I take it to the car wash and use their degreaser, clean them up, put them back together, and you're good to go for 2 to 3 years. But unless you get them, go ahead.
It was on the whole unit, Dick. It wasn't just the fan, the whole back and everything.
Yeah, but the fan is spreading that. It's a mold, and so it grows. So anywhere there's some moisture or humidity that builds up, and you get those spores started, it starts to spread. It's like seeding your lawn. It's all over the place, and so the fan is the source of the spread. So once you take the fan out, then it's really easy to wipe the rest of it off, and you're back to ground zero. Spray a little bit of a light Hylex type of a thing that'll kill any mold that you actually can't physically remove.
I wondered about that. That is safe to do?
Well,
they told me not to do that.
Haul it to the alternative is haul it to the junk. Yeah, you don't want to spray a corrosive because it is slightly corrosive on metal parts, but there's so much of that is plastic. If you stay out of the bearings in those areas, it's good. But it's because I'm not afraid to take it apart that it isn't any big deal to me. But I totally where you're coming from. If I had not, ours have been in about 7 years now, and if I hadn't pulled them apart a couple times in the meantime, I hate to think of how thick that stuff would have been on there.
Yeah.
And no matter how careful you are with the intake filter, they clean them every Saturday, and I'm really on them about making sure it gets done.
Yep.
It still comes through.
The mold mitigation team must not be really mitigating our mold because they have to keep coming back every year.
Well, if they aren't actually removing that fan, I tried. I sincerely thought I could flush this stuff off, and I wound up physically taking them to the car wash because I even had them on the ground here with a pressure washer, and I couldn't cut the stuff off as well as what I could with the good soapy water out of your car wash. So I hauled 5 of them in there and threw them on the floor.
You only take the fan.
I only pull the fan out of it.
Same thing. The rest I clean with like a little bit of Hylex.
I'm gonna do that, even though they told me not to then, because I know it's okay.
If it's plastic, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. And it doesn't have to be a real heavy solution of that. Just
no, very light.
So
I'm sorry, Kim. I know you hate hearing that word bleach.
Well, it's which do you want to hear worse, bleach or mold?
Yeah.
If you want a bad buzzword, talk about mold.
Yeah. Thank you, you guys. I appreciate that help.
Any other conversation about AC units, air conditioning? Okay. Anybody want to talk about heaters? No.
I'd like to talk about outdoor lighting. Can I talk about
Oh,
that?
yeah.
I'm
let's
sorry, I
talk
have
about
all kinds of stuff. I don't mean
it.
to
Good.
blob in here. So we have a long span between our lodge and the first cabin that isn't lit by really anything. There's one light from our deck that kind of shines down the walkway, but once you leave the walkway and are walking, it's basically on the driveway or on the side of the driveway. You have to walk a long way in the dark before you get to the first outside light. And that's always worried me a lot. So I've been crabbing about it for a long time, and now I think I'm just known as #1 nagger. But I'm going to have that taken care of this year because it bothers me so much, and I think it's such a worry always. And we're going to try to put some spaced outdoor lighting in along that driveway. I just don't know what works best, if anybody's had experience installing that. We're talking about putting some post style lighting in there. The top of the post would be higher than most of our kids can reach so that we don't have lights being smashed and that kind of thing. But other than that, that's about as far as we've gotten talking about it because, because I'm the nagger and nobody wants to talk to me about it. But I need to know a little bit more about what would be a good option or some good options for outdoor lighting like that. It's going to be put in kind of intervals along that driveway. So if anybody has suggestions or has done that, I'd like to hear those.
We did, if you come to our resort, we're on a little bit of a hill and we have a path that goes down to the lake right by the lodge with steps. And we had a lady fall once. The insurance company said, well, you got to put a handrail up. So when I did the handrail, I put 4x4 posts, I don't know, 20, 30 feet apart. And I have a cable that runs through the top of those posts. And we have lights that come on at dusk and turn off at dawn or dawn, dusk, whatever. And anyway, and those come on every night so that nobody trips and falls going down the steps. Well, I also did the same thing when you go down past cabin 7 at our resort. The road goes down to the lake where they put their boats in, and a lot of people walk that. So I did the same thing there. I put up a 4x4 post, I don't know, what are they, 12, 16 feet up in the air, and I run a cable through the top of those. And I just buy the string lights.
Are they wired or solar, Clint?
Wired.
Okay.
I run string lights, and what I do to dress it up is they all come with the solid colored bulbs, just clear bulbs. I put in colored bulbs, and I got them all, like red, white, or blue, green, yellow, clear, blue, green, yellow, clear. So I keep them like that. So then they come on every night, and it kind of dresses it up, makes it look a little festive. And I tried some last year. I spent the money and put in LED ones that you could program to do different things. And I'm getting rid of them because you have to start them up and reset them every night. And then they didn't last in the weather. I was really disappointed with them. So I'm going to go back to just the regular 11-watt bulbs and whatever my electric bill is, it is. But so that's what we do to light up walkways or whatever. But
so you just ran it underground over to the your power underground over to the post and then up the post, or did you drill through the post and put it up?
Actually, that cable I drilled a hole and ran the cable through the post, like on my walkway coming up and down to the lake. I got a handrail that goes down with the top on it. So then I run my cable up, 12 feet up in the air, and it comes down and angles down, and that cable's tightened up with a couple cable tightener things on each end down to the handrail. So then I run my lights up that cable and go all the way down the other side, and then just plug it into a dusk to dawn sensor.
Yeah.
So they come on and shut off. But I put the LEDs in there, and I'm getting rid of them. I'm going back to just regular 11-watt bulbs because they just did not hold up and last. And I had to go down there and start them every night, and I just hated it.
But you had no kids fiddling with those wires or the cables?
No. The only thing I got to complain about that is red squirrels like the taste of that rubber, and they will chew off the frickin' lights. So I shoot every red squirrel I find. Otherwise, what had happened is I'd go down there and I'd have 3 lights missing. And I'm like, what's doing this? Well, here the squirrels go up and they run down that cable and chew them off. So now I shoot all them stupid squirrels, the red squirrels, and get rid of them. But
Well, you don't need a lot of reason to shoot a red squirrel anyway.
No, you
So-
don't anyway, because they are destructive. But
Yeah.
that's what we do at our resort. And then I could put in different colored bulbs, and it just makes it look festive. That's all. That's what we do.
That is easy.
Is that a
See, I'm gonna
24
say
volt
that.
system? Is that a
No.
24 volt?
Nope, that's a 110 system. And
Okay,
I can put when you buy those strings of lights, you can put like 6 or 8 of them together, and they're 20, 40 feet long, whatever they are. So you just keep plugging them in and plugging them in, but then it runs up your electric bill, but they work.
Well,
Yeah.
the only reason I'm saying that is the 24 volt system isn't going to kill anybody as far as, something you can swing out that wire and not worry about it. And so you use a lot of my secondary lighting like that with 24 volts and not to worry. Then you don't have to dig it in 3 feet and you don't have to have it in a conduit or anything like that.
No, and these are actually when you buy them, they're made for outdoor lights. There's tons of restaurants have them, tons of people run them, and they're all on a ground fault plug-in, all of them. So it works. That's what we do, and it works for us.
Yeah.
My only problem with the solar lighting is that I didn't think they were bright enough. That's the
Right.
issue with the solar lighting is that they weren't bright enough.
Or they are not bright. That's a problem. Yep.
We have a lot of bright solar lights that we got from Menards that I'm really pleased with. And we put a new decking 2 years ago on our lodge deck, which is massive. And I didn't really know that they were multicolored solar lights, but I love them. I mean, they're just beautiful. Even in the winter, we don't even take them down. Our problem with the solar lights, because one year I bought a whole bunch of Walmart, I don't know, $1, $2 solar lights and put them everywhere. And my brother and husband teased me mercilessly about, are we running a resort or an airport? Because it looked like a landing strip all the way along. And the problem we had was a lot of kids we just stuck them in the ground because they were $1 or $2. I mean, yeah, they will kick them and people will trip over them and pain in the butt. So we learned from that and we did put some solar lights up a little bit. We didn't put them as high as Clint is putting, but I imagine the higher you get the light, the more area of light it's going to light up.
Yeah. Shed. Yeah.
Not only the higher, So like our posts along our boat ramp area are maybe about 3 feet high, and we've drilled a hole in the tops of these posts and put and really no kids have bothered them. So it's sunny enough right there that they get plenty of light. And I bought a couple of extra ones just in case they break down. I need to replace them. But I love solar lights. We now have solar lights on the ends of every dock. We have 11 docks. And I've heard from fisher people that they love that as they're coming in. It helps them navigate to figure out which dock they are. And we didn't go with the stick lights. We went with these little, I don't know, they look like a little plate, like a little rectangle with some angles, and you just screw it kind of underneath the lip of the ends of your docks. That way nobody's tripping over them. There's nothing to kick. It looks kind of like a little face plate or something. And those are cheap. You can get them at Menards or Home Depot or wherever. They're like $5 a piece or whatever they are. So cheap. And they work great. Anybody else have lighting issues or solutions that they've tried that really worked for them?
Does anybody have swimming pools? No? Okay. We have a pool, so if we want to talk about some swimming pool stuff, I could give you my 2 cents worth on that. Not that it's worth anything, but.
You should give your 2 cents on that. I'd love to hear that.
Hey, did you get your liquid chemical feed yet?
No, but I got that chemical guy that did that class for us. He told me he'd sell me one in the spring.
Oh, okay. Well, you need help. Come over and look at mine. You can see how I got it hooked up.
I'm gonna come take pictures before I get it from him so I can not screw it up. Hopefully.
Who did you get yours from?
I bought my chemical pump used from Ed at In We Go Resort. He wanted to upgrade, so I bought mine from him used. He has his pool and my pool and Mark's pool are pretty much all the same, identical. So it fit right into what I had. But what the heck's his name? He does the pool certification classes, and they're with what's the
Horizon.
Yeah,
the Horizon people.
Yep.
Yeah, I had them come up and quote me on that as well, and then I have some local companies up here giving me some quotes too. So I was just curious if there was someone in the area up here.
No,
So-
actually he came out, I kind of just looked it up online and just kind of winged it. And then I also talked to Ed and seen how he had it set up and just kind of went off what he gave me. And yeah, I put it in, it works good. And you just gotta, don't let them oversell you on a pump size. They're gonna want to sell you this monster system that'll pump tons of chemical. If you're pumping that much chemical, something's wrong with your pool. So just size the pumps accordingly to what your pool's gonna need. That would be my recommendation. And you can go online and buy the axle board has both the pumps on you need, and it's got the digital readout, and it gives you instructions how to set it in. So it's fairly simple to do.
Who are you getting the chlorine from? The liquid chlorine from Horizon?
Yes. Yep. And he comes, I think it's once a month or every 2 months he delivers.
Yeah.
And you can do bulk, but I chose to go with the 15-gallon drums of chemical. And I go through probably about 5 to 10 gallons of acid a year. And I go through about 5 of those 15-gallon drums of chlorine for my pool year. So I just order everything I need right up front when he comes the first time, and it seems to work.
Got it.
But it's a little more expensive, but I tell you what, my pool does not haze or fog up anymore. It's crystal clear all the time. I have an outdoor pool. You guys your guys' pool is indoor. So I like to run my chlorine between 5 and like 8 parts per million. And then it's always crystal clear. I don't have any issues. And since I switched to liquid chemical, my pool's like, knock on wood, is crystal clear all summer long. I don't have any issues with it. I'm really happy about that. But
Yeah, we ran into, because we're just broadcast spreading the granulars and it's like a mess.
oh, really?
And-
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's what Jim was doing. And it was just kind of, well, without that, with the non-use, with us being basically the pool being shut down for 2 weeks, everything just kind of settled on the bottom, and it's just a lot of cleanup. So
Right. He didn't have no inline feeder for that?
he used to, then it got switched out at some point, like 5 or 6 years ago. I think it broke or something. And so
Okay.
he was just broadcast spreading, which is like crazy.
Because I used to have an inline one, and I did the 3-inch pucks, and it broke, so I put a new one in, and it just never worked as good as the original. That's when I was like, last straw, I'm going to liquid chemical. Glad I did it, and it's probably going to run you for a pump. It'll probably run you about $2,000 to get that pump system.
Yeah. Well, we're getting quite a bit because we got to get a new pool heater in and all kinds of stuff. So our propane heater crapped out. So.
Oh, really? So what?
Yeah, we got electric backup, but that's expensive.
So what brand you gonna look at there?
Well, I'm getting quotes from a couple. I had the Horizon guy. He came up and kind of quoted me as well. So he highly recommended one of them. I don't remember what the name was, but he said they sell 5 or 6. But he said, I don't really want to sell you this one, kind of thing. So, but then I got 2 of the pool places in town. They're gonna get me some quotes too. So.
Oh, I was gonna say, do you do any business with what's it called? Midnight Sun and Spas?
Yeah,
Okay.
we do some stuff with them. They do some commercial stuff, and then Greg's Plumbing actually does quite a bit too.
Okay. All right.
So,
I bought mine online. My heater died two years ago, but I have such a confined area that only one heater on the market would fit in that space I had without redoing my whole pool house. So I paid the extra money and got that one stupid heater, but it works really good. I'm really happy with it, but I don't remember what the brand name is. I'd have to look.
yeah. I'm curious, does anybody have a hot tub? Or are we the only one with a hot tub?
Yep. That's probably you guys, I would say.
Yeah. Ours is ancient, 40 years old. So.
Is that the one outside?
Yeah.
Wasn't he having trouble with that leaking?
There's a lot of troubles with it. Yeah, it's cracked. He had it redone, but it re-cracked again this summer, so it was leaking all over the place. So we're in the decision making of tearing it out and just not having one, or potentially putting one back in. People like it, but I don't know if it necessarily draws them or keeps them here. So it's kind of got to weigh your options with it. So,
Right. See, and I know he was complaining about it was cracked, and I'm like, Jim, it's fiberglass. Let's go fix it. And he was afraid to do it. And I was like, it's
oh, he
underwater.
did.
See it.
Yeah.
So
He had an auto body guy fix it, I think last year or 2 years ago, and everything peeled off and recracked, and it was just a kind of a mess. So,
yeah, I told him, I said, man, if that was me, I'd had that thing drained and I'd have fixed it myself. And yeah, if it lasts 2 years, then I'd look at a new one or fix it again. I mean, that's
yeah.
everybody's
Yeah,
got
I'm
to do
looking at maybe possibly getting a new tub anyway. So we'll just see what they come in at, but it's I mean, it's just 40-year-old tub. So
Great. Yep.
the health inspector says if it were me, I'd get rid of it, but
Oh, yeah, I don't think they're a fan of hot tubs, but
yeah, I mean, he was fine with it. He just said most resorts got away from it just because of the amount of people in and out of them and how not enough water inside of them. So,
yeah. Well, if you need help with any of that, holler at me. I'll come over and help you.
yeah. I am curious, has anybody installed keyless entries in their doors to the cabins and gone away from keys?
I have it on my lodge, but not on the cabins.
We don't use keys at all.
You don't give
You don't
people
give?
keys?
Nope. Freaks a few city folks out, but they get used to it within about a couple of hours. So we always tell them that if they're worried, lock something in their cars. But we're not transient like Coles Resort has a little bit more transient, I think. Our people are mostly weeklies. They come for a week and seeing the same kids' faces over and over again, and it becomes a community very quickly. So
yeah.
So
We're looking at it, possibly hooking it up to our Nest system so we can control stuff from our security side. It's expensive, but we do have a lot of, we actually set up direct with Sanford. So we have a lot of doctors and nurses that stay here in the off season. So they like, especially right now, they like to be contactless pretty much. So, but they want to lock up as well for whatever reason. I'm like, I don't know what they're bringing with them to stay here for 2 weeks, but they like to lock up anyway. But it'd be nice just to send them the code and be done with it, and then they're all good to go. So,
Brian, you guys at Cole,
but it's about
like rooms, right? You have like hotel type rooms around the pool area.
we just have two rooms like that. The rest are all cabins. Okay. But we have a lot of people. We have a lot of workforce housing, I'd say, in the off season here. So because we tend to lose a lot of keys, and I'm like, I'm done losing all these keys.
Yeah. I have a big, you will hate to hear this, but I have a big aluminum Folgers coffee can with miscellaneous keys in there. And I'm sure there's some keys in the pot that are fitting to some of the cabins, but I don't know which ones are which. So, oh well. Part of the charm of a 100-year-old resort, that's what I tell people. So we have had to break in a window one time when some kid accidentally clicked the interior lock and locked him behind. But stuff happens. So
probably
I like that.
Probably one of the better things I did was probably about 7-8 years ago. I swapped out all the locks in all the buildings. I had a locksmith come in, and I have one master key opens everything. And I really like that. That saves me. Patty's got one for cleaning ladies. I got one for me, and I got 4 or 5 extra of those. And then I have never had a problem with keys after that. So
We did that too, Clint. It was a dream. Yeah.
Cost a few bucks.
Yeah, we got master keys at Kohl's here too. So but the individual keys, they tend to go missing very quickly.
The same with padlocks. That locksmith guy said I need 30 padlocks keyed the same. He brought me nice heavy duty master lock padlocks. One key opens everything. I got them everywhere, and I just love it. I got 2 keys on my thing. I can get into everything I have here.
Yeah.
So what else we got to talk about? Nobody has any issues?
Can I ask a question about cleaning? I know this isn't about cleaning, but Is everyone doing the same COVID protocols as last year or something different this year?
I guess we're waiting to see what the CDC recommends and what the health department recommends right prior to opening, what they're going to be talking about and pushing through. That's how me and Patty are looking at it. Otherwise, we'll tend to probably do the same thing as last year.
We are eliminating our UV light bath. I have read many things about that saying that that was not useful. So that is one thing we're not going to do. And that was a huge time consumer. It was about 45 minutes before that was all done per unit. So that's a relief, and it's one and maybe two fewer staff people I have to have for that. So if anybody was doing that and feels confident in eliminating that from your routine, I mean, I feel like that's an okay thing to do because the data out there says that those that you can just buy, like the ones we bought, are not doing you any good. That's not what they said last year, but that's what they're saying now. So.
We're telling all of our guests, as far as we know, we're planning on another COVID season. So for us, that meant the extra disinfection with the backpack sprayer. And I'm switching from hydrogen peroxide to another product called Force of Nature. So I've already stocked with that because hydrogen peroxide, as you know, is a natural lightener. So I was getting a few streaky curtains and some light shades. So
oh yeah,
toxic product that I've used personally, but I just didn't have it in stock last year. I had the hydrogen peroxide in stock, so I used that because I didn't want to put out any more expenditures because
I know.
We didn't know what was happening. We gonna survive, so I just used what I had. So I'm going to that. I'm getting some backlash, of course. We went to the Friday night checkout thing, so we.
Oh yeah.
And of course, by the middle of summer last year, every single week would pass and we're like, shit, we are not going back to the weekly thing. There's no way. We are not going back to turning over 19 cabins in one day again. This is the opportunity to take advantage of. We're already practicing people. And so when people were asking for the rest of the summer, if they asked point blank, we would just tell them, we're not going back to the Saturday to Saturday. We're going to, come in on Saturday and leave on Friday. And every week went by and we're like, thank God we've got Friday. Thank God we have time to take that air conditioner out, really clean it, figure out where the plumbing is. Thank God we can, we've got the time. So, but I'm still getting backlash on that for sure. I haven't lost anybody. I'm shocked. We sent a letter out in October saying, hey, you guys, we just wanted to make sure you were aware that we are keeping this new policy in place. And we chose not to raise rates this year because we knew that it would be a hard policy to get through, but we allowed them in October. You guys have got 30 days to cancel your cabin and we'd give your deposit back in full because we ask people to put a deposit down when they leave.
Yeah.
So that was a big policy change 18 years ago. That was a huge impact in how we operated. And I would never go back to asking in November or January for deposits. Asking when they leave was a huge, hard policy change, but I'm so glad we did it. And I know this one, it's been really hard with the backlash, but I don't care. You know what? It's my resort, damn it. I get to make the rules, right? And I'm tired of those awful Saturdays. Oh my God, with cleaning people that don't show up or they do a lousy job or some, you all know about it. So.
You're so stern, Kim.
Oh, I'm writing a story about it and I still cannot let go because I just got another, when I sent the confirmations out in January, late January, I'm still getting some people going, because I made sure I put at the top. Now remember, we're still at the, 7-day, 6-night week. So just putting it in your brain to remind you that, yep, even if it's COVID or no COVID, this is what we're doing for perpetuity. Then I got, well, we just don't understand why.
When you have a 2-week reservation, do they just get a free night then? So that's kind of nice for them. Okay.
I have a question about when you receive their second part of the deposit and what % are you guys taking before they leave for the next week?
You're asking me personally? So we ask our people, they'll put down $500 per cabin or $1,000 for one of the bigger cabins. And that's what they put in. And then we don't ask for deposit additionally after that. We just hold
When do you collect the balance?
When they arrive at check-in.
So we started this year, we went to this will be our first year this season coming up where they'll check in Saturday at 3 and check out Friday at 9 a.m. And so the ones that booked, we gave them $100 off for the inconvenience of changing our mind of how we were doing it. But we collect half down before they leave, and then everybody has to send the balance in by January.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's been just a huge blessing because all of our costs kind of come up front with taxes and insurances and all of that. So it's nice to have everything that you're going to have by January. So then you can really kind of plan out your year, and then you know who's going to show up, and then our cancellation policies, if they have to cancel for some reason, if we rebook the cabin, they get all of their money back.
Wow.
So it seems to work out really well.
Wow. How difficult was that change to implement?
Well, as you guys know, every change you make, I think it's harder on us because it's an emotional decision that we're making, and we're fearful that if we make changes, we'll upset people. But after a few years, you realize it's just business. McDonald's doesn't mind upping their prices, and they don't, so when I got away from the emotional aspect of it and just started treating it like a business, if somebody would ask, I'd say, well, we have last minute cancellations we were just doing a $300 deposit. People would walk away from that and you'd still have this whole. So we just said, we have some skin in the game. You have to have some skin in the game too if you expect us to hang on to your cabin for 9 months, while you make your decision. So yeah, I mean, over the years, the people that we've lost, it's okay, because if they can't make the journey with you, it's okay. It's not personal. It's just business. There's always somebody else.
There is.
That will take that spot.
Especially this year.
Good.
That knows they know the new rules, and it's not a big deal for them.
Yep. I liked all of my newbies last year. They didn't even bat an eye at the Saturday arrival and Friday. Yeah, it was just the way things are. I love those guys.
Isn't that sad about your repeat customers? They tend to take advantage of you and kind of screw you over a little bit when you get new people coming in. They're like, oh, that's great. We love it. We don't have a problem with that, but you fight with your old existing customers all the time. It's just, yeah.
So do you see them battling with you and not Patty, or Patty and not you, if you have a battler? Because no one ever says anything to me about any of that. They only talk to Bob.
Okay, so here's
You're the hard ass, Lynn. Even though you're a sweet little elfin creature, everybody knows.
I never hear a thing. Nothing.
Smile as you tell them like it is. This is how it is.
I don't know. I think they pick one of you and then they're just gonna crab at one of you. Or I don't know.
Lynn, I'm gonna tell you how it works at our house. Patty is in charge 100% of all the cabin bookings, the people, everything. I'm just a fix-it guy. So if they come to me, I want everybody to be happy and go home happy and love me. So I tend to give in, and I don't have much of a backbone when it comes to stuff like that. And Patty cracks the whip, draws the line, and she gets it done. That's what I love about her.
Good on her. Good on her. Well, everybody's got a role to play for sure.
You'd be surprised how many people know that. And when they want to get a wishy-washy answer and maybe get it to go their way, they'll come talk to me.
Just like kids.
It gets me in trouble all the time.
I'm gonna go talk to Dad.
Yeah.
So. Well, what else we want to discuss? It don't have to stick with fixing anything. We can talk about anything anybody wants to. We probably got another 5-10 minutes, and our hour and a half's up.
Looks like Julie and Kim are having a side conversation about dealing with kids and how many. I expect what we're trying to get the heart of. Julie, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like maybe you're questioning, how do you get the proper number of people in each cabin? How are you able to count who's really here or not? And I can share if that's the right avenue of questioning that you're inquiring about us about. One of the things, I don't know who this was, maybe it was Pat Adler, before Mark and his wifey took over, but I think it was her that gave me this idea. We started posting a thing at the entrance of the lodge that said, "Hey, welcome families," and I put just their first names only, no last name, but I put their first names only with all the kids, and I put the town that they're from, because people were, and my repeats especially, were fascinated. They would stop and they'd read everybody's first name, but kids would come in and say, "Hey, you forgot my little cousin that's here." I'm like, "Oh, there's an extra person this year in that cabin." Tricky, right? Or this person said, "Oh, I didn't know that that family was from that town. That's my hometown." And they went off. And so there's a little bit of a security type discussion that we've had a couple times in Cracker Barrels. But for us, I haven't had any trouble with that. And I'm careful about not putting last names. I only put the first names of people in there. And that has worked really well for helping keep track of who all is here, mostly because those kids will come in and inadvertently squeal on their family. So
We do that with a newsletter, Kim. Same thing, but I'm not careful about last names. I put those in all the time. I put everything in there that they tell me. They come, they check in, I get all that information. I've had, in 44 years, I've had one person who didn't want their last name on there. They must have been in a witness protection program or something, I don't know. But nobody else, they all want their whole name on there. And like you said, they want their towns, and they meet people who maybe the spouse grew up in their town and they know each other, or they have friends in that town and they're there all the time, and they become friends quickly. And the kids are really interested in that. They want other kids to play with, they're always looking at that. I have people standing at the door of their cabin waiting for me to come around with that newsletter if I'm tardy. They just can't wait for it. So it is really a good tool. And like you said, it's a really gentle way to find out who is there and who's coming later. They always tell me all that. "Oh, and so is coming to visit us on Wednesday, and they're going to be here for a couple of nights." And I always say, "Oh, do you need hide-a-bed bedding for them? Just let me know if you need anything." And then, of course, we know we have 2 extra people to charge for that night. So you don't even ever have to say, "Hey, do you have extra people?" in a crabby way, because you already know it anyway. So yeah, it works out great.
That has to do with my question. This is Julie. Because we're going to be new owners this year. And in the past, there hasn't been any accountability other than to know the main person that's renting the cabin. And we don't plan to start charging for extra people unless it becomes obsessive. But we aren't going to be keeping track stringently, but we want it. But I also found out that there's a Minnesota statute that requires you to know who's in every cabin and their names. And we've had some discussion because it hasn't been practiced in the past at my cousin's resort. And so we don't want to alienate people, and yet we also want to comply with what information we need to have on hand. And so that was my question. Are you all doing that, keeping track of customers? And it sounds like you are. So now I can go back to my partners and say, see, we need to do that.
Julie, our local fire department, we're in a township here, and our local fire department often speaks at our annual meetings. And one of the things they mentioned, because there are so many resorts in our area, is if they get a fire call and you can't tell them how many people were in that building, that is a serious issue. So they want to know how many people are in that cabin for that reason. Everybody has a reason for why they want to know that. You want to know it for charging, because that is definitely a way to make a lot more money. They want to know it for safety. And I think that the other reason you were told is this compliance issue, but there are lots of reasons to know who's in your cabins. So it's good that you're going to do that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask about dogs? What you guys charge for dogs and per week? I guess is my question.
We have no pets.
We charge extra person fee. So whatever it costs to have an extra person in that cabin, that's what we charge for a pet. Oh, Patty says we went up this year, so I guess it'll be more. than an extra person, but we also have limitations, size, shedding, things like weights, things like that. And only in certain cabins.
So what, I guess I don't know what your extra person cost is, so that.
What's their extra person fee? She's gonna go look. I think it was 125 or 130 last year. I don't know.
If they take that pet to a pet thing, it's $40 a night.
Oh, there. I don't know if we're supposed to discuss price.
I was just gonna say, we better be careful once we start with pricing, because we could be accused of price fixing if we're as a
Yep.
But we can talk in terms of percentages or the equivalency of what we charge for an extra person. That's fine. And then we'll just direct you to their website to look at the pricing.
Well, I was more curious about like what you said, Clint, you know, the size, the shedding. I mean, that's some of the questions that I ask. If your dog is a high shedder, it's not a good fit.
No, and we don't like puppies. Puppies bark and chew on everything.
Do you make them bring a kennel for when they're not in the cabin to store the dog?
We do request it, but a lot of them don't. I mean, I'm a dog lover. We had dogs, you know, so I can understand that. If they're a well-trained dog, they'll behave. But we've had damage. It's the only dog in the cabin. They left it in there by itself, and they tore the whole wall up. And when we went in there, she's like, I don't know where that came from. I'm like, really? We argued with her. She paid for it eventually, but we had to argue with her. But yeah, no, we always say they should have kennels for their pets, but we don't enforce it.
Why?
You know, I guess a lot of them you can.
Anxiety, different households.
Oh yeah, Patty's saying the different households, just how people are. Some pets, have higher and anxiety issues. So, I guess we got a credit card. We have the attitude that if there's damage, they'll just pay, and hopefully it's nothing too bad. You can't get fixed before the next cabin comes in. But we had just that one dog that tore that wall up. Other than that, most of them have been pretty good.
How often do you guys charge people after they leave for damage? Does anybody, you know, like once a year, several times a year, ever, never?
Never.
I haven't either.
I think we've done it once in 26 years, 27 years.
We had a group of guys that were up golfing one summer. They were there for, it was a cancellation came through, and they came for part of it. And they were there for say 4 nights. They had a big evening, and they ripped the door off, the outside door, ripped it off. And then they just set it back in the door sill so it wouldn't fall. And then they went home. So then we found it, of course. But Bob is a resourceful guy. He got it fixed before anybody else came. But we took pictures of it, and I sent them a letter and said that we had found that. And I didn't expect them to pay for it, but I would appreciate an apology. I didn't even get that.
Oh.
Not even that. So if they're bad hombres, we've heard that before, right? If they're bad hombres, they're going to be bad no matter what you try to do. And if you try to push them to pay, I feel like you're going to get into a big mess. So who wants that stress? I don't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting take on that. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Word. Yeah. Financial stuff always drives me insane. It's not my strength. I don't like arguing with people about money and rates, and it drains my energy.
Yeah, just give him a cookie. That's better.
Well, you know,
It's not going to be a routine for me.
one of the bad things about this now is with Facebook and all this media stuff going on. If you get one bad review, it can do a lot of damage. So how hard do you push people for something minute or that maybe they should pay for? That's going to get you how many bad reviews? And yeah, I mean, you got to really be careful what you do.
Yeah.
So what else we want to talk about? Jen, you had your mic off a couple of times. You wanted to say something, but you turned it back off. So,
Well, the topic kind of went away, but I was just we are the ones that have the big chalkboard in the lodge with everybody's name. And we do last names also. We do everybody's name in the cabin and where they're from. And we've never had anybody complain about it, but it is a really handy way to find out who's there, because when they come, if we have somebody new come, I'll just take my notebook and say, I need everybody's names for the chalkboard. And People are great about it and they love coming in and seeing who all is there. And the other thing I was going to say is about extra people. Whoever said they weren't going to charge, I would charge. My mom was not good about it before we took over, and she admitted it. She just had a hard time with like guests that had been coming for a long time and stuff. And I said, Mom, before we take over, just for one summer, charge for extra people. People expect it. It's on your brochure. They know they're supposed to, and just see. And it was like an astronomical amount of money. I mean, it was like extra cabins like crazy. So, and I just think people, if they know about it up front, they don't mind paying that. They know that that's just a standard thing. So
we still get a lot of comments about, well, it's a baby. You charge for babies? I'm like, yes, if they're human, they count. That's our pat answer. But the advice that I got from the resorters that owned it before us, they had like a 2-year-old limit of when they started charging, but their issue seemed to be, well, people would come in and say, well, my 2-year-old, they're going to turn 3, but only a week before we come up. So, I mean, there's always going to be some kind of excuse or bargaining with that. So they just did away with the age limit and said, if they're human, they count. So I kind of, that worked for me, I think. So
one thing that we've done regarding that extra person, maybe you guys do that too, Jen, I don't know, but if we have, let's say, just for an example, 4 cabins for the same family, and one of the cabins has grandma and grandpa in it, and grandkids from the other cabins come and stay at grandma and grandpa's cabin occasionally during the week, which would boost grandma and grandpa's cabin above the total number it should have, but not the whole group. We don't charge grandma and grandpa for those nights. We put that group together, add up how many can be in those 4 cabins. That's the total. And that's, they don't get charged any extra person until they exceed that composite total.
Yeah, we do the same thing. Yeah. And I want to be clear, we do make exceptions. If our limit on the cabin or the breed is based on 6, and we have a family that comes and they, the family themselves has 6 children, so there's 8 people. I occasionally will not charge for that because it's their immediate family, and we make exceptions like that. But it seems like most of the time when there's extra people, it's because there's more than one group or more than one family, and then I don't feel like it's a big deal.
I think most of us would encourage you, Julie, to immediately, right out of the gate, count up your extra people and start charging for them, because you want to put down a sense of, this is how we mean to go on. You don't want to catch up a year later. You want to kind of go in when they don't really know you yet, and you haven't allowed yourself the opportunity to create a relationship. This is the time to do it, right when you're coming in. Right? You guys, am I wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say too, like sometimes when we have a 4-person cabin and there's only 2 people there and 3 visitors come, we only charge for 1 visitor because their cabin can be up to 4 people.
Yep.
So
I do that too.
Yeah, but Julie, do you have a limit on your cabin? Like, do you have a 6-person cabin? Like we have a 6-person cabin. All of our cabins, you can go 2 people over for an extra charge. The max is 2 people over. So there has to be a bed for every single person that stays there. So if we have three bedrooms and a hide a bed, then they can have the 2 extra people. But sometimes if you just start with, this is what the cabin is for this price, you can go this many people over and this is the additional price. Does that make sense?
That all makes sense to me. Unfortunately, with some of my other people that are going in, that we're buying the resort together, family members, are concerned about losing long-term customers because they've been not made to pay for extra people in the past.
Want to lose those people because they will take advantage of you more than anybody else. If they can't support your business model, then make room for somebody that can come in and support it, would be my advice. It's okay to lose regulars, especially if they run the show.
I agree. Yeah, I love hearing your comments because that supports my belief. So we'll see what happens. Thank you.
Sometimes you can't get rid of them, Julie. When we bought, no matter what you do, when we bought the resort, we had a customer who we wanted to get rid of so much. We would just, so crabby and so mean to everybody else, so mean to our staff. We kept raising the rates like nuts for the weeks that those people were here. They were here with a big group, so we didn't want the whole group. We just wanted them. And they would never leave. They never left. They stayed and stayed and stayed. They stayed so long until they got so old they couldn't travel from Iowa to the resort anymore. Nothing would make them go away. They just loved coming up and crabbing at everybody about everything. I think they got a lot of joy out of that. So no matter how much you try, sometimes they're still there. Excessive vacationing. It's like, oh, go away. So you never know. You might not get what you think you're going to get. Be careful what you do.
But seriously though, I mean, Lynn was pointing out some safety issues before, and she's correct too. We remodeled one of our 3-bedroom cabins and expanded the beds in it. And so I was thinking, well, maybe I could have enough for 12 people maximum. The base rate will be 6, but up to 12 people because I had that many beds. But Ryan, my son-in-law, was looking at building codes, and he's like, you know what? You really, because there's only one door on this cabin, you're really safety-wise, you're only allowed 10 people max because there's only one entrance. And that's a safety feature. So, you know, you really need to be cognizant of how safety should be an issue, and the number of people affects that. So that really, you know, is a legitimate reason to bring back to your family about why you need to control the numbers or monitor them and then additionally charge.
Yeah, great point. Thank you.
Say, Patty had a question. Anybody that has seasonal campers, do you limit the number of people on the rates? So like if your rate is whatever, $2,000 for the year, is that only good for 4 people? Only good for 6? How do you handle your extra guests there? Anybody have seasonal campers? Pretty quiet.
We do have just 2 seasonal campers, and they have a seasonal rate, and they blow their capacities 4th of July, and the whole resort, and I'm sure a lot of you encounter that. The 4th of July is kind of the exceptional week, so you kind of just hope things run smoothly and just let it happen. But otherwise, they stay within reason on guests. Once in a great, you know, they're only here maybe 1 or 2 out of weekends out of the month. So if they come with a few extra, we're gonna let it slide.
Okay.
So, Clint, we have seasonals. There's just like our cabins, there's a base rate, 4 people in a seasonal. And then if they have extra, it's an extra person charge. The visitor that comes every so often, we waive that fee. But if they have 6 people in their family, we charge for 2 extra people.
Yeah, right now we have, I think our rate's on 4. We have some families of 6. So Patty just usually does a family of 6 rate for them. And then what she's been doing is that if it's just like 2 people, and we're trying to get out of this, but we've been doing it so long. If there's like the mom and dad and the kids used to come, and now it's just the mom and the dad. The kids are older, now they got grandkids. Now what she'll do is she'll allow them to put 2 people on their lease that covers their lease rate, and then anybody above that they pay extra for. So whoever comes and sees them the most, she'll allow them to get on their lease with them so they can have up to their 4 people and not pay extra. But she's trying to get out of that, so I don't know where she's kind of just curious what everybody else is doing, if anybody else does deals like that. Or
Clint, I gotta run. I got a dog at the door and nobody else home, so I'm gonna have to go outside and be a dog owner.
sounds good. Thanks, Lynn, for joining.
Thank you. Yep. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.
Well, I guess we'll keep working on it and see what happens. You know, like I said, I'm the one, I want everybody to be happy while they're here. Patty's the whip crackers.
We started something where we take the 4th of July week off. And I know you guys are probably thinking that's crazy. That's your busiest time. But we take that off for family and friends to use the cabins. And then every other year, we go on a vacation that week. And we have still rented the cabins when we're gone, kind of like an Airbnb. And it has worked out great. So just food for thought. I mean, I never thought we could get away in the summertime, but that's been just such a great midsummer break from guests. And then we get to recharge, have our friends out, have them each have a cabin for free and have fun with them, but then get away too. So
Kudos
There
to
again,
them.
it's
I've talked about that for years here because I have nightmares that happen every year, July 4th, for whatever reason, and that would be perfect. But we're not open in the winter either, so we've got a crunch time of those 11 weeks that we need to make the money for the whole year. So I don't feel like I could give that up, but I really want to, and I'm impressed that you did it and went for it.
but you can still rent the cabins out when you're not there. And we've done it 2 years in a row and we've never had an issue. People do it all the time with VRBO where they tell them everything that they need to know. They leave the key and they go. And I know it's hard to believe that you can do it, but it's been such a blessing. And then we have a friend that always comes and watches the resort. So it's not left all alone, but like one of my sisters might come and stay in our cabin while we're gone. And then she's just there to answer questions or to kind of be a presence there. But we only have 11. I mean, we are only seasonal too. I mean, there's always enough money, it seems like at the end, but that little break and then just being done Fridays at 9 a.m., having Friday to Saturday open was another way after 15 years of being like, it's just time to kind of create this space that fits our lifestyle instead of everybody else's.
That's what I'm struggling with too. I think it's going to be a crunch even right now for us having people leaving Friday at 3 and then arriving at 3 o'clock on Saturday. It's still going to be a crunch for us. People just don't understand. And my son-in-law and daughter-in-law or stepdaughter, they're trying to, it's not our job to communicate why to our guests, even though I really want to. You have no idea what it's like on Saturday. It sucks, and it's this. It's not our job. It's their job to accept our policy and how we want to run the resort, or don't. That's it. It's a hard concept when you have developed relationships with people over, and they're asking you all the time. So that was just several emails that I just got this last weekend that I've been dealing with. Oh, why are you doing the Friday night checkout forever? And so I've had to come up with very simple. Thanks for your feedback and opinions. We really value them. The 7-day, 6-night structure is now here forever. I hope you're doing well. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Bye. Just cutting out the bargaining, because once we start explaining why, it opens the door for, well, if you're having such a hard time cleaning, maybe you should have some of your people leave and some people come here and you should hire more people. It opens a door for all their suggestions, and I don't need it. It's none of their business, really. So sorry. I didn't mean to express there. I'm having some emotional stuff I'm processing through here as I write about it. So
yeah, Patty's in the background listening to you, clapping her hands. She's all for it. She's like,
We do have one group that we love, that we want them there an extra day. And so they get to stay an extra day, like till Saturday. We've had a couple people that have said, we've got something going on. We really need to be there till Saturday. And so we go, yeah, this one cabin can be there till Saturday because it's only one to clean that day. And then we charge them extra. So they're paying the regular cabin fee, plus they're paying an extra $150 for that extra day. and it's a win-win because it's a way to make extra money.
We thought about implementing some kind of an additional thing, but right now we just need to kind of keep it clean, I think, for now, because if I start introducing another opportunity for people that they can stay, with 19 cabins, I just don't want to keep track of it right now. So, but I'm thinking
We
about.
only do it if they ask. We don't advertise that they can do it.
I see.
They'll ask for it if they want it.
Interesting. Good food for thought there. I appreciate that.
It's kind of amazing. Nobody likes change, but yet what we found out with this COVID coming through is there's some things you can change that make our lives as resorters easier, and people are willing to accept it to a certain extent. So you got to just be careful what you do. I mean, we have to be happy too. Who wants to go to a resort where the owner's crabby, irritable, and just doesn't want to be there anymore? Who wants to go to a resort like that? So, I mean, you have to take care of yourself a lot of times too.
Yep.
We're just afraid of the unknown of what'll happen if we make a change. That's all.
Yeah. I'm totally afraid of losing all kinds of repeat guests. And honestly, though, all the repeat guests that we have that we're bitching are all in the most primest weeks of the whole summer. I'm not going to have any trouble re-renting them. So I just got to keep coming back to thinking. I know I keep fighting about, well, gosh, Kim, that's so selfish. But also I want to remain viable. I'd like to do this business for at least another 10 years, if not 20. So yeah, I need to take care of my own health and figure out ways to make me work smarter, not harder. And, you know, having that extra time at one free night. Oh my God, the freedom last year of every week going by when everybody was gone on Friday, except for some campers, sheer bliss, being able to go in and do some maintenance issues that every single week there was something that we needed to deal with, and we had the time to do it and dry out carpet that was soaked because of rain, or get a plumbing issue fixed that needed thoroughly drying, or recocking something that could cure overnight. I mean, we all know. So, but explaining that to guests, they'll never get it. Never.
We actually bit the bullet this year. We went Friday to Friday check-in. We were always Saturday to Saturdays, and getting cleaning help on Saturdays was terrible. So we just, with this COVID thing, we talked about doing it for the last 3-4 years, and we're just afraid to do it. We finally did it last year. We're now Friday to Friday check-ins, going up the full 7 days yet, but we did not lose one customer over the change.
Well, yeah, because they're not losing any time, Clint. You're still allowing them for a full week, and it's not giving you any more time to do it. Your only change was just the Friday to Friday to get theoretically more cleaning help. Really.
Yep. So we're really looking forward to this summer. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Now I'm thinking we should have went down to 6-day week too, but yeah, it is what it is. You know, I'm the one that likes to keep everybody happy.
But you can next year. You can always say, hey, I'm on this group with all these resorters, and the trend in the industry is to take a wellness day for the resort owner. So that's this day. And, you know, pretty soon you're going to be one of the few resorts that are offering 7 days a week, because the majority of them are going down to a 6-day week.
Oh.
I've always been different all my life. Why change now?
Yeah, because you're not the bad guy. Your wife has to do it. That's why you have the energy. When you're the bad guy, then all of a sudden you're like, I just can't do this 7 days a week.
Well, you know, the other thing there too is we've had to kick a few people out, and when that happens, I'm the bad guy then. I have to go kick them out or tell them to leave or tell them whatever. So she doesn't have to do all the dirty work, but
that's good.
She is good at it though.
Just because we're good at it doesn't mean we like to do it. I mean, we
here's
don't.
Exactly.
Yeah, because then you're like, oh, there's the wife, you know, everybody straighten up. Here comes Kim. So yeah.
You know, but we do college kids in the winter, and we've always done that. Now in the winter time with the college kids, Patty talks to everybody, gets them all lined up, takes care of them. I never talk to them And usually if they see me, it's over there fixing something they broke. So we play the good cop, bad cop thing with our winter rentals, and that works out really good. If I got to send Clint over, you're in trouble. So then it works really good that way.
This was a good discussion today, you guys. What do you think? Was it helpful? Was it worth chiming in and listening to everybody? Yeah. Okay, good. You know, we did a kids. I was telling Clint before we started here that there was a class last week, kids craft. It was very small, and I had two of the ladies call me later and just yak 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 yak. And what I'm sensing is that there's a real craving for community, and so I'm wondering if there would be any interest to think about maybe just a weekly, you know, not as structured as a Cracker Barrel like this. And this wasn't even structured, but we, which is good. But I'm just wondering if maybe I should think about doing a weekly, or like sending a link out on the chat and then figuring out a day or a time. And then every week, anybody who wants to can just go to the Zoom and chat with whoever, on the CMR. I'm wondering if anybody would be interested in that, or if I should follow up, or maybe make one that's ladies only, or one that's guys only, that might be fun just to, I don't know. Is there any comments? I mean, I'd love some feedback. I'm trying to develop this and figure if that would be worth doing, if anybody would be interested in doing something like that. So.
Well, you probably only have about another month and a half left, and then we're all going to be busy.
Exactly.
So.
Well, and what I'm trying to say is I'm done now with the School of Resorting class, except for the demo on Tuesday. I'm kind of done because March is the big event of Day on the Hill and then our spring workshop conference. So I'm done with scheduling all these School of Resorting things on that committee. So if there was a need for people to kind of check in with each other once a week, I could certainly set that up and happily do it. I guess I could always just do it, right? And if nobody shows up, nobody shows up.
Right.
Right? Do you think there would be a benefit to kind of like doing a link for guys at a certain time and ladies at another?
Why would you be separating out men and women?
Just a community thing. This is why I'm asking feedback. When I bought the resort, the couple that owned it, they each did their own separate little coffee clutch, they called it. So Terry, the guy, would meet over at the north, I don't know, East 40, West 40, whatever coffee place. And like 5 or 6 resort guys would just get together every Tuesday morning and have coffee. And they just talk about anything. Really, it became personal relationships, but it always inevitably came back to resorting stuff. And then the lady at the time, she did the same thing with a group of ladies, resorters. And it just, I miss some of the old School of Resorting types things from, so I've been doing this will be our 21st year, and I remember a lot of School of Resorting classes where it would be just ladies quilting, and it was wonderful just to talk with other ladies about all kinds. We talked about our families, but mostly we would always come back to resort stuff. So it was just a little bit different tone. Mm-hmm. So that's why. Not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just asking for feedback.
Kim, you can set up, do whatever you want. And if you don't have a good turnout, then it's not worth your time. But if you have a good turnout, maybe it's something to continue.
Thanks for the permission, President. I appreciate it.
Well, no, I don't know. You do whatever you want.
It's great. I think I was kind of getting to that point also. Let's just try it maybe. And if nobody shows up, they don't. And
probably the timing will be the most important thing. What day, what time of day is going to be the most important.
And I don't know
to get the best turnout.
I think Sundays might not be good. I don't know. Tuesdays is our board meetings. Other people, I don't even know what day would be a good one. So suggestions are welcome, I guess.
And actually Sundays aren't bad if it's later on in the day. So you're not interfering with people if they want to go to church or go out for Sunday dinner or something. But I don't know.
What's today's timing? Okay. I mean, was that we kind of tried to put the Cracker Barrels on all different times because I didn't really know what people would like. So we did Saturday, we've done Tuesdays, Thursdays, Wednesdays, Sundays. I mean, they've all been well attended, honestly. So maybe it doesn't matter.
I think Sunday evening is probably better than whether it be early or later in the evening, doesn't matter. But midday like this is a little tough. We had people coming and going, just family and whatnot. And maybe shooting for every week is a little strong. Maybe start it off with every couple weeks or something so that you gather, unless you're going to do it as a coffee clutch type thing. But if you want to try to have some topics ready.
I wasn't. I didn't want to schedule anything. I kind of want to just put a link out there,
Yeah.
and it'll be the same link because you can do that
Yep.
on. It can be a recurring weekly link and
Yep.
set that up very easily. So
Yep, whatever. If my preference would be something like in the Sunday evening, Mark, and maybe every couple weeks. But if you do it every week, you attend if you want, and you don't if you want.
right. I appreciate the feedback. Thanks, Dick.
I always, if my attitude is with the CMRs, no matter if I'm involved or not, if I'm open and don't have nothing planned, I'll try to chime in and at least listen. You know, and if I got ideas, throw them in there. That's just how I am. Try to stay involved.
There's a lot of newbies into the organization, and then a lot of newbies like Julie who are just coming into resorting business. And I've had like 2 or 3 phone calls here lately of people who are just, I could just tell they just want to talk to another resorter. What are you doing for here? And I have a great idea, and this and that and the other. And I'm like, wow, okay. My ear hurt the other day when I was speaking to that newbie lady the other day. I could just tell she was really craving community. And I think with the COVID thing right now, and we're still, most of us homebound, there might be a real need. And there's an opportunity here for us to do it. So I think I'll just try it and just see how it goes. So it can't harm. I can't see any way why that would be a harmful thing, right?
I agree. If they want to tune in, they will.
Yep. All right. All right.
Is there still on Facebook, is there still the community group where you can pose a question?
On Facebook, yes.
Yeah, that's really helpful. I've used that a couple times when I'm gonna make changes just to kind of see what other people are doing. So I mean, it's kind of like that, only you get to talk to people via
Yep.
Zoom. So yeah, I like it. I like Sundays. I don't, anytime after 1 is fine. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, I mean, as a work week, I don't know if a lot of resorters work.
Some do. Some do, yeah.
Yeah, I do too. So, I mean, during the week is never good. That I could never go to the meetings. So this is the first time I've been able to do anything is this year because they're always on a time that I can't get away from work. So I appreciate the Zooms a lot.
That's good. That's an interesting perspective too. I see Teresa shaking her head too that she's working during the week. So on purpose, the education committee scheduled the spring workshop conference on a Saturday and Sunday on purpose.
Yeah.
To also accommodate kids, families that have kids going to schools too during the week. So I mean, there's a variety of reasons, but we thought this would be a good year to try that week because normally our fall conference is like a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and our spring workshop is typically on a Tuesday or Wednesday. So we thought we'd try the Saturday, Sunday, and that's what they're going for. So hopefully it'll be well attended. I'm sure it will. They're doing a great job gathering topics and speakers. So anyway.
It's nice that you've recorded these two to go back and the ones you can't make.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to go back and get the content.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that as well.
You're welcome. It is a pain in the ass, I have to tell you. It takes a little bit of effort to upload, size it down, click up. Yeah, it takes a little bit, but yeah, I think it's good because it's created more content also for the members on our website. So I'm happy about that. So good. All right. So 4:05. This went a 2-hour Cracker Barrel, which is quite normal for us. But it was a good last Cracker Barrel, I think. So what did you think? Good? Glad we did it? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Good. Well, maybe I'll see some smiling faces on Tuesday for the Banter software system demo. Otherwise, the next event is going to be Day on the Hill, right, Clint? March 9th.
Yeah, 7th or 8th, isn't it? I think it's
9th.
Yeah, something like that. And being Zoom, I hope we get a really good turnout for that. I mean, typically we take the bus down to the cities and we're, 20, 30 people max. I'd like to see 50, 60 on these Zooms to these.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. So hopefully a lot of people chime in being at Zoom.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. Well, stay warm, everybody. Is there anything you'd like to conclude with, Mr. Clint? Mr. Moderator?
No, other than Day on the Hill and our spring workshop and the annual meeting on Sunday, right after the spring workshop.
Great.
Everybody should try to attend that. We'll be sending out some information shortly on probably in another week or so on the campground issue.
It might be a hot button topic, we're not sure, but we want to introduce and have discussions about allowing campground only resorts to join our group, which that has not been the case up till now. You have to own 3 cabins to be a member of the CMR. So
yeah,
so
and there's a lot of there's a lot of campgrounds that are showing interest in the CMR because the Minnesota Resort Campground Association joined with Hospitality Minnesota, and they're not getting much notoriety through them anymore. So I think they're looking for another avenue for some support and a way to stay involved. So I don't know. We'll send out a bunch of information, let you look it over. And that weekend of the workshop and the annual meeting, show up and ask your questions. You can actually contact myself or I believe Jim Worley or the membership chair once we send out this information if you got questions prior to the meeting. So do what we can, keep you informed.
Good. Okay, well, everybody stay warm, be safe. It was lovely seeing your smiling faces.
Yep, it's good to see everybody.
All right, well, I'm going to stop and sign off and wish you nothing but well. So
sounds good. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Bye. Have a good one.
See you later, Kim.